Everything you knew about project management is wrong. And why you need to hear my reasoning why. If you're new to the channel, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart, intelligent folks out there, listen, that just simply means Ed. I have an 8-point framework, and these 8 points I plan on unpacking today's title, or I should say episode, which is entitled Breaking the Mold, Essential Skills for Effective and Efficient Project Management. Let's jump in. Before I jump in, let me give you a quote real quick. In times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. This is by Eric Hoffer, the book, the True Believer book. Man, that's a great quote. I made a video. You mind if I share a story with you real quick, family? I made a video about how people can get, how project managers can get caught up in chasing certifications, that they forget about the journey that they're on, that they forget about the whole object of getting these certifications are to grow in this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management. And the reason why I seen that a lot of times I was watching people get these certifications like, oh, I got my certifications in 24 hours or 48 hours. I took a 48-hour boot camp, and I'm like, okay, but what did you learn from it? Did you learn any new project management skill sets? Did you learn how to be a better project manager? Or did you just learn just to go take a test so you can put those letters behind your name? See, family, the importance of this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management, is very important. That it's just not all about the certifications. The certifications are extremely important because it shows you that you're really serious about your profession. But the other pieces, which we're going to unpack here today in these 8-point framework that I have, is going to be to make you even an exceptional project manager. That's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, The Magnetic Project Manager. I wrote the book because of the fact that I was watching how people were getting caught up in these certifications and forgetting about the skill sets that project management teaches you. The PMBOK even talks about it, but we skip over that but this is the most important thing. Listen, projects are not led by project management software. It's led by people. It's garnered by people. It's collaborated by people. And we have to understand those particular skill sets, whether you want to call them soft skill sets or however you want to classify them. It is a skill set. Let me move on to point number one. Implement a radical candor. Hey, this is important. If you've never watched me before, I'm about to explain and unpack this so quick and fast, but I probably might get caught up, so excuse me. When you have candor around people that you're working with, and now here's the caveat: you have to earn this trust as a project manager. You have to earn this trust by working with stakeholders and them saying, hey man, I really enjoy working with that person, because that person understood that I could be vulnerable with them and explain that, hey, the way that this is going is not working well for us, and just them being honest with you. And in return, you're having the ability to give immediate, specific, and respectful feedback to the team. See, if you're unable to do that, this team is not going to be operating in a fashion where everybody is going to grow. There's only going to be a certain couple of people that are going to grow because they're going to want that feedback. Remember, I shared with you what Cody Sanchez said about how startups and even just entrepreneurs are looking for you to poke holes at their organization. And it's not about being what's right. It's really about being, hey, what do we need to fix so we can win? This is about win. This ain't about your emotions. This is about winning. And we have to do it in a respectful way, of course. But what I'm saying is the point of candor is key. If there's not any skill set that you don't learn, you need to be able to have the skill set of candor. And there's two more others that I'm going to really outline here. So if I take a longer time unpacking it, you'll know that that's the one. And I'll tell you, because I'll say message. All right, let's move on to point number two. Point number two. Navigate office politics effectively. Listen, I don't care what organization you worked in. There will be office politics. What are office politics, ED? I'm so glad you asked. I can tell I have an intelligent family out there. Office politics and this is my definition, the ability to understand both sides and figure out a way to bring both sides together for the greater good. Okay, you don't like that one. Here's the remix version. Being able to understand that you are literally in where people on one side do not want to do do really don't want to be there, while the people on the other side want to be there, and how do you figure out how to create a collaborative environment of bringing both of these entities together and us leading forward. Because in politics we understand that there's going to be some backbiting, we understand that people are going to say things that they may not mean, but it was emotional response. We understand that there is going to be sabotage. Can you deal with understanding how to navigate these office politics? And some people say don't take it personal. I used to believe that too, family. And now I believe I will take it personal if, and that's only if, we've addressed it. And that's why I said the first point is being able to implement radical candor. If I come to you with a candor, and we're being very transparent and open, and I'm saying, hey, I didn't appreciate, or I didn't like, or we could have done better there, of how you came across during that particular meeting, and you still continue to do the same thing, and I'm supposed to sit back and say, oh well, that's just how that person is. No, that is unacceptable. So family, understanding how to navigate our office politics is going to be huge. Thank you guys so much for those who have been watching the episodes. For those who haven't, please hit that subscribe button. For those that are tuned in, hit that like button. It ain't gonna cost you a thing. I mean, literally, it won't cost you anything. Also, we're building out a community that for people that want to get into management, or those that are already project managers. And we also have a newsletter, family, that we will be putting out bi-weekly. All right, let's move on to point number 3. Message: cultivate negotiation skills. Listen, being able to negotiate is going to be huge. You're going to have to at times negotiate for resources. You're going to at times have to negotiate for, watch this, family. You're going to be like, what? You're going to have to negotiate for priority. Your project may at one moment be a priority 1 and bump all the way down to priority 10. How can you how can you continue to make sure your priority is the main thing? And again, depending on what you're leading as a project manager. So having the negotiation skills to be able to negotiate for resources. And also, one of the things we don't talk about project management, those who lead projects know, being able to negotiate with people that maybe this is not their role, but they have the skill set to assist. How can you negotiate with their manager to say, hey, can we borrow them part-time, or can we borrow them X amount of hours, to be able to pull them in, to be able to assist on the project? So negotiation skill is going to be a key. I'm going to make a book recommendation here. This is one of my favorite books that I've read so far on negotiation. It's called Never Split the Difference. Again, Never Split the Difference. Check that book out. I think it's an excellent read. All right, let's move on to point number 4. Stay updated with industry trends. One of the things I subscribe to is the Wall Street Journal. Why do I subscribe to the digital? Well, I subscribe to the digital Wall Street Journal. Why do I just subscribe to that? Is because I'm also in the cybersecurity side of the business, and so for me, learning what's going on in cybersecurity, understanding that aspect. Also, I'm looking at PMI. Going on and checking out what are things that are new there. I see they have some AI stuff. So being able to, whatever particular area that you're in, whether it's finance, whether it's software, whether it's, like I said, cybersecurity, whatever your niche is within project management, being able to understand that niche and what is going on. So staying up to date is going to be huge for you as you navigate this thing called project management. Point number 5, message: foster team collaboration. Again, family, anytime I say message, this is something you want to pay attention to. This is something you want to tune into. This is something that if you miss everything else, anytime I say message, this is something you want to lock into. Being able to find ways to collaborate with your team is going to be important. It is so important. Like I said, I think this needs to be one of those pillars that is addressed a lot more. We don't address it. We create an assumption that, okay, we have stakeholders and they're going to want to collaborate. You will be shocked and surprised, especially if you're a new project manager. Project managers that are already out there that are leading projects, you guys already know that this is not the case. A lot of times they come in with their own adage, meaning their own ideology. It's not about to help the team. It's about self-preservation, meaning, hey, I did my part, I'm out. So being able to foster team collaboration is going to be huge. Being able to organize team building activities to enhance that trust and cohesion is going to be another way of fostering team collaboration. Point number 6, being able to strengthen your leadership skills. I wish I can give you a book to say, hey, read this book and yep, you'll be an awesome leader. I wish I could give you some training of saying, yep, here, take this training. You're going to be an awesome leader. The training is going to aid, the training is going to assist, the training is going to provide you an insight of how to handle and adjust. But real life on the job training is going to be the one that's really going to help you take what you learn. Because one of the things is, family, I don't want you to watch these videos and not apply it. The whole purpose is to watch these videos and apply it. Experiment, experiment, experiment. I don't know how many times I can say it, because if you continue to just listen and take no action, how are you going to grow? So again, family, being able to develop a leadership style that reflects your strength, your strength. So if you're somebody that is very direct, if you're someone that's very dominant, okay, maybe you need to lead with that type of, that's maybe your strength. If you're someone that's maybe passive, you may need to understand, okay, how can I leverage my leadership style and find ways to get to the team even though I may be passive? And maybe I need to have a blend of both or whatnot. So again, family, finding ways of what your leadership style is. There's a thing out there called the DISC assessment. I'm actually a partner of, and pretty soon I'll be rolling that out to the family as well to help them understand their personality type. Are you a D? Are you an I? Are you an S? Are you a C? Because see, these type of things will help you when you are navigating your leadership style. I try to identify, your leadership style, as well as you as a team member or a stakeholder. All right, let's move on to point number 7. Message. Enhance communication skills. Again, I know it's been a lot of messaging here because it's very important. But in this book, this is one of the things that a lot of project managers do not understand and know about: communication. What does that look like? I know what you're already thinking. Oh, you're talking about verbal communication. Yes, you may be right there. Yes, that's one of the piece. Oh, well, you're talking about written communication. Well, yeah, that's another piece. But see, what I am talking about is understanding your communication style as well as understanding your stakeholders' communication style. Let's unpack one of these real quick so I won't go in depth. If you want me to leave a comment in, then I will. But one of the things is I've seen project managers when they're leading projects, they send an email and say, oh, well, I sent the email and I let them know that, hey, this is due, or I sent them a reminder, let them know, no. That does not work if you want to be exceptional. Now, if you want to be ordinary, you want to be average, that's your thing. But if you sent the email, you may want to ping them in Teams or ping them in Slack. You may even want to pick up the phone and call them if their cell phone is on the bottom of their signature. Reason why is because you want to be exceptional. That's why you're tuned in here, because we want to be exceptional project managers. And as we continue to grow, it takes we keep working 1% at a time of being exceptional. So again, all those communication styles that I named, verbal as well as being written, but I'm talking outside the box. And literally, I am outside the box. If you ever watch, I normally film these in a box. But the point I'm trying to make on a serious note, family, is the ability to find a way that works well with your stakeholders. Not all stakeholders are going to be looking at emails. Maybe they like looking at Teams. Maybe you get their attention more faster. Maybe you have stakeholders that you literally have to pick up the phone and call. Maybe you sometimes have to include their manager in because they're not answering the email. So these are the tricks of the trade that you learn along the way. If you would like to know more, hey, leave a comment. I'd love to assist you. Point number 8. You see this thing called time? You need to learn how to master that. Listen, I'm talking about time management as far as when you're leading meetings. I've watched it where I've walked into meetings as far as being a stakeholder myself, and there's no agenda. Not saying all meetings have to have an agenda, but if you are leading and this is the contradiction of what I'm saying, if you're leading a project, you're the project manager, and at least have a purpose of the reason why we're there. And most of the time, I hate to say this, family, people will not read it. But this is why you bring it up and say, hey, the purpose of this meeting, because you should be the one that's opening up the meeting when you're starting it, to say the purpose of this meeting is for us to go over blah, 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 and go through the 3 points. I always like to do 3, because it's not too much for someone to remember and or recall. So I would say, hey, these are the 3 points that we're going to address And if there's any time left open, we'll open the floor up for additional Q&A. But the whole point is being able to ensure, because people's time is something they'll never get back. That's why I said mastering time management is going to be key, because you'll have somebody that will come into the meeting to distract the meeting on purpose. That maybe they're bored, maybe they don't want to see your success. So having an understanding of when people do start creating that distraction. This is what we also used to do, is that we would create a park, we called it parking lot. What is parking lot? Hey, John would come in and start talking about things that are not relevant to what the conversation is now. Hey, John, do you mind if we put that on the parking lot? And what we can do is we'll set up an additional meeting to go over that, or you and I can meet, John, after the meeting. So there's two ways. You can put it down on the parking lot and then say we can bring it up to the bigger team, or the stakeholder and yourself can meet on a one-on-one basis. The last and final point, which is huge, and I want to give Stephen Bartlett another shout out for this, because again, this is really, I forgot the importance of being able to do that, and that is run mini experiments. What do you mean by that, ED? Running mini experiments is like, I've tested out, okay, when do I send my meeting recap out? Do I send it out the day of, or do I send it out the next day? I found out when I send my meeting recap out the next business day, what it allows people to recall the conversation versus sending it out, because they're not really, I don't know if they're just not excited or what, but when you send out the next day, they realize, oh, well, we got this to do, we got that to do. So again, running many experiments, that was just an example of one. Also, how you lead your meetings. Like, do you rotate people that can lead the meeting instead of you're always being the voice of leading the meeting? So again, family, experiment. This is how you're going to learn your stakeholders and what works well for them, and also what will work well for you. Again, I appreciate your time today. Until next time, you know my slogan. If you don't, well, I'll make it simple and easy. I'm out.